right, my babies, here we are, back again, right, back again, lovelies, lads, lords, dews, lilies, sugar, sugar mountains, sugar lilies, moon lily, princess of darkness. I do have one announcement I have to make. So, well, announcement, and then we jump right back into the docs. So, we have the newest, well, we have a newest member of the garden round. So, who do we have? We have Sir Equinox Bob. We have Sir Uncle Rapier. We have Dame Leviathan. That's right. And now the newest member of the garden round. Welcome all, Dame. Now, I gotta get this right. So, we have Dame Deb. Dame Deb Gondwana. Also known as the mistress. The mistress of the bees. That's right. So welcome all. Dame Deb, hereby known as Dame Deb Gondwana, the mistress of the bees. There you go. That's right. So now we have 4 in the garden round. All right. 2 sirs, 2 knights, and 2 dames. Yes, we do. There you go. Welcome, Deb. Now remember, with special powers comes what? Well, what is that saying? No. Welcome, Deb. Welcome to the garden round. Original. All right, let's go. Hey, let's go. So now, let's move on. We are starting at 61. A lot to cover. To finish up 51 to 100 here, guys. There are some I have not. There's some I purposely excluded. And I may get to those at another time. Okay. I'm holding off on them. Some of them I feel I could go back and reference later. And there's also one in the first 50 that I'm not touching yet, and that's the Spillman stuff. Spillman. I'm going to probably use that for reference later. That's why I haven't touched that one yet. So anyway, we're starting off with 61. Let's go. Here we go. Okay. 61. Mallory. Date of the report, December 6th. December 6th. Now, you guys heard about this. This is the trace on the DoorDash driver. The pen, right? So, 11/22, I applied for and was granted a pen warrant for any data associated with the phone number, which was linked to a possible witness, Molly, the DoorDasher. S.A. Nick Balance of the FBI assisted in the production and service of this warrant. 11/22. On 11/22 at approximately 8:26 p.m., the warrant was served via fax. Okay, they got the warrant. On 11/22, Balance received notice the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available. Fine. Those files were downloaded to the computer, stored in the secure forensic computer lab. Great. The pen register trap and trace data were terminated on 11/30/2022. Okay. Wonder why they... Well, again, where you saw this, why do they have a trap and trace on her? Interesting. But it ends on 11/30. Okay. Molly was subsequently identified, located, and interviewed as a witness by Mr. Brett Payne. I completed the warrant, return receipt, blah, blah, blah. As this was here. Okay. So this was completed. So December 6th, reviewed December 7th. Okay. 11/22. 11/22. That's all I'm going to say about this one. We already know about the trace on her. So 11/22. All right, 11/22. Right, it's the trace or whatever is terminated 11/30. Okay, I will get to things later. 11/22. 11/22. Okay, interesting date here, guys, and I will explain later. Not right now, but I'm just highlighting this. 11/22. Interesting, though, date, isn't it? Interesting date. All right. That's 61. So that's the DoorDash Molly trace. Okay, let's move on. We're going to number 67. Okay, 67. Okay, so here's 67, right? All right, Maori. 12/12. Almost a month after the unalivings. 12/12. Okay. So on December 6th, I applied and was granted a warrant for all information in DoorDash's possession related to sales, deliveries, purchases, and or transactions made at the King Road house for the period of January 1st, 2022 to present. I'm not sure why we're going back that far, but whatever. We are. On December 6, 2022, at approximately, what is that? 3:53 p.m., the warrant was served. Okay, great. On December 7th, I received an email from DoorDash containing the data requested pursuant to the warrant. Great. And, of course, the files were downloaded and kept in that secure forensic computer lab. Sure. Okay, I completed the warrant return receipt. An affidavit sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, so on and so on. Okay, so there we go. Now we got a warrant for any purchases that were going to the King Road house from January 1st of the 2022 to present. So whatever. I just find that a little odd. We're starting way back in January 1st. But that's just me. Okay, Maori, the 12th of December, reviewed the 13th. Fine. So that's December 12th. December 12th, DoorDash warrant. There you go. Okay, hey, there you go. It's number 67. Let's keep going. Next one is number 69, baby. Oh, yeah. Hey, if 6 turned out to be 9, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. Let's go. Okay, guys, on to 69. This one's a little bit longer. All right, Vargas, December 13th. This interview taking place now with Chapin and his family, some of their family members, his mom, so on. So, December 1st, Corporal Payne asked if I would assist with interviewing family members of Ethan Chapin at the Latah County Annex Building. I arrived and spoke with M. Chapin, Ethan's mom, Mrs. Chapin. Okay. I introduced myself to Mrs. Chapin and told her I would be recording our conversation so I would not miss anything she said. Fine. Mrs. Chapin had filled out an adult victim background questionnaire, which I reviewed before speaking with her. Okay, fine. All right. Mrs. Chapin listed Ethan as being easygoing, positive, friendly, funny, and stated he did not have any negative issues or negative feelings with anybody. Okay. Mrs. Chapin listed the following people as being the people whom Ethan spent the most time with. Xana, of course. KF. P-E-H-C, nickname, H-J, we know Hunter, and Emily. So Hunter and Emily as well. Mrs. Chapin told me the following about the people who Ethan was closest to. Xana, of course. Xana, they've been dating for about 1 year, met through school. Yeah. Right. Okay. Mrs. Chapin talked with Xana once during Rush, but never hung out with her until Xana started dating Ethan. Yeah, okay. She partied with Xana, but never hung out with her outside of that. Okay. Now I'm confused. Now I'm confused. Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. We're talking about Ethan's sister, not his mom. I'm so sorry. So this is his sister giving the account, not his mom. My apologies. This is Maisie. Maisie, not his mother. My apologies. Okay, this is Maisie. All right, so she's talking about it. All right, got it. So she wouldn't... Okay, factual. Okay. All right. And never heard anything factual about Xana's mom, but knew Xana did not have contact with her. Right. Ethan would often spend time with Xana while she was at work at the Mad Greek. There we go. Fits, of course. Ethan never said anything negative about his relationship with Xana to her. No, because there wasn't anything wrong with it. P-E. P is a and in the fraternity, M does not know much about P. Maisie thought P was a farmer and from California, but she was not sure. Ethan would spend a lot of time with P, and they met through the frat. Ethan and P were very similar and would often watch football together on Sundays. P lives at Ethan would hang out with P 3, 4, or 5 days out of the week. When Ethan would be with P, they would spend time at Xana's residence, P's residence, and several apartments at the Whites. Emily and JL, several apartments at the Whites, right. Emily and JL at apartment on the second floor, left side. Oh, God. The apartment at the Whites. Okay, the Whites. CATR. Ethan's and Hunter, unknown last name, the top floor on the right. Okay. All right, KF. K was one of Ethan's closest friends. K lives in at Maisie stated K and P were Ethan's closest friends. Maisie did not see any substance use among any of Ethan and his friends, but said they drank a lot, which was normal for the frat life. Okay. Hunter Johnson. Here we are. Mr. Hunter. $34, prick. Yeah, him. Hunter is dating Emily. Right? We know. And was the person who B and D called to their house that morning of the homicide. Bethany and Dylan. Right. Ethan golfed a lot with J and E, came to their house over the past summer several times and hung out. Right. With Hunter Johnson and Ethan came to their house over the past summer several times and hung out. Ethan never had any issues with Hunter. Okay. Except for owing him money, I guess. Right. Maisie never heard of or observed Ethan get into fights with anybody. Ethan never confided in her about having problems or frustrations with anybody. So that's important. He never confided in her. So that doesn't mean there wasn't. Ethan never mentioned having any issues with any of the girls who lived with Xana. Maisie spent time at Xana's house and never observed any issues between any of the roommates. Maisie said she did not know Maddie or Kaylee well and said she knew Bethany and Dylan a little bit better. Maisie thought if Ethan did have anything he needed to talk to someone about, he would most likely speak with their H or Xana because he saw them daily. Okay. Maisie said Ethan was an open book and was not a private person. Okay. Good to know. Just good to know his personality a little bit here, right? Yeah. I asked Maisie if she knew what Ethan did on the weekends, Friday and Saturday, November 11th or 12th. Maisie said she was not sure what Ethan did on Friday. Okay. Maisie said on Saturday the 12th, Ethan did not go to the football game or tailgate and thought he spent that time at the Whites, possibly at Jay and Emily's apartment. Maisie said in the evening, Ethan went with her to her formal event, which was at Hunga Donga Mashlanga. Yeah, I read that right? Hunga Donga Mashlanga. From 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. So Ethan was with Maisie at her little party. Okay. The Hunga Donga Shlanga party, right. Maisie said they drove to the Hunga Donga Shlanga in their vehicle. Okay, yeah. In their vehicle with Ethan. HC with his date, RS, Dylan, yeah, fucking hell, right. Dylan and, DM, all right, DM, I don't fucking know, RS, comma, something, DM, and his date, HB, and JK, and his date, RB. Maisie said, yeah, it's all fucking weird. Maisie said D and J are both members. Maisie said Hunga Dunga Shlanga was rented by her sorority and this was a private event. Maisie told me she knew the majority of everyone at the Shlanga party and nothing out of the ordinary occurred while they were at the event. Okay, so there's no issues at the event, supposedly, at this one. Maisie said they all left the Hunga Shlanga in the same car and drove to her sorority where the girls, including her, got out, went inside, and changed clothes. Maisie said R, H, and R all got back into the car and left with Ethan, Hunter, D, and J to go to a party at Okay, so they get out. So this, okay, all right. Maisie said she texted Ethan at approximately 8:14 p.m., telling him she did not want to go with them to this other party and was going to stay at her sorority. Okay, Maisie said she did not go and eventually fell asleep, around 10 p.m. Maisie said this party was just a normal Saturday evening party. Okay. I asked Maisie if she saw any weird comments on Ethan's social media. Maisie said she recently logged into Ethan's Instagram account and made it private because it was public and a lot of random people were making bad comments on it. Maisie said people were speculating this was a substance-related thing or something to do with the girls. Maisie told me she did not notice the names of the people who were commenting, right? But said they were weird accounts with just one follower. Maisie said people were making bad comments on all the other victims' accounts as well. Yeah. I asked Maisie if the girls had any bad feelings with any of their neighbors. Maisie said she did not think so. Maisie told me she was at Xana's house a lot of the weekends, on the weekends, and said they would often get noise complaints. Yeah. Maisie said she was present for 2 of the noise complaints. Maisie thought the person making the complaints lived in a house behind the King Road house up on that hill, but was not certain. Maisie told me she never witnessed any retaliation from any of the neighbors. I asked Maisie if Xana and her roommates knew everyone who lived around them, and she said she didn't know. I thanked Maisie for speaking with me and told her if she thought of anything else to let us know. My conversation with Maisie was recorded and is copied onto a DVD, which I booked into evidence. Okay, Vargas, December 14th, reviewed that same day. December 14th. All right, fine. All right, that's number 69. And the original interview for that took place December 1st. Okay, let's go on. All right, guys, now we're on to number 70. So here we are. 6970. Okay, K-Bar, Walmart. Here we go. Mallory, December 13th report. December 8th. Okay, we're writing this up. But November 21st. Excuse me. November 21st. I applied for and was granted a warrant to Walmart related to the sales for the following items from the period of January 1st to present. 2 K-Bars. So a K-Bar, that model, 1217S, fighting knife, K-Bar, then U.S. Marine Corps fighting knife sheath, K-Bar full-size, United States Marine Corps straight-edge knife. So, knife sheath, full-size straight-edge knife here. Okay. So, only 2 K-Bars showing up, 1 K-Bar and 1 sheath showing up from January 1st all the way up until November 21st. This is all they pulled from that Walmart. Okay? Weird, right? November 21st. 8 days after the unalivings, right? Yeah. So, we skip to November 28th, 15 days after the unalivings. At approximately 1:16 p.m., the warrant was served. Okay. Right. Forensic account. Okay. That with the federal FBI, and of course, they assisted in the production and service of these warrants. So once again, we see the FBI helping out here with warrants, getting warrants. Now we skip to December 8th. Okay, so on December 8th, I received a packet from Walmart containing paper documents and 2 DVDs with sales data on them from the local Walmart in Moscow, Idaho. These files were downloaded, of course, and put into that secure computer lab. Right. December 9th, I received notice from FAD. The data requested pursuant to the warrant was received. Okay. Field agent, right? The data files were downloaded to the forensic computers and kept in that secure blah, blah, blah. Okay, warrant return, receipt, affidavit was completed. These documents were sent to the county prosecutor's office. Okay, so there you go. That's Mallory on December 13th and reviewed by Blaker same day. So we get search warrants for the K-Bar Walmart from January 1st all the way up into the present here. And we only get this returned, really, at least what's in here, right? 1 K-Bar United States Marine Corps fighting knife sheath with the model number, and then a K-Bar full-size straight-edge knife. All right, let's carry on. That's number 70. Number 70. We're moving on. Moving on to 71 now. 71. Alrighty, here we go, guys. 71. Barrett. I probably should have did 72 first. That's all right. 71. Barrett. 1213. Okay. 1212. Now, again, we're going back to the office here. Civil Rights Investigations. Okay, Captain Barrett. 1212. Idaho State Police Detective Lake asked me to request information from the University of Idaho, the Office of Civil Rights Investigations regarding an assault involving a U of I students that were reported in 2021. I emailed the request to KN with the University of Idaho Office of General Counsel. On 12/13, I received a form. I received from LE at University of Idaho that office indicating she had the information I requested. Okay, so she's keeping that information. Okay, I understand. I met with E in her office at about 12:15 and provided her with a flash drive. E said the the information to the drive and gave it to me. Downloaded, copied, I don't know. Right. On 12/13 at about 12:30, I returned to the police department and gave the flash memory to MT with the FBI. This is the second time now we're doing this here. This is the second time now we're doing this. First, it was Jack Skellington, remember? That was the first time we're doing this. Now we're doing this with MT of the FBI. So interesting. They're gathering reports up of assaults that occurred in 2021. And they're giving these files, reports to the FBI here several times here now. Okay, so December 13th, Captain Barrett. Captain Barrett. And, yeah, reviewed. Was it reviewed? Yeah, oh, well, he did it. Well, no review needed. He's the captain, I guess, right? So, all right, so there you go. More about assaults taking place. FBI wants them. All right, let's carry on. That's number 71. You know, a K-bar sheath was left at the scene. Now, that was on 12/2. But 12/1, though. Okay. So, 12/1, he's talking about a knife sheath. 12/1. Okay. You know, a K-bar sheath was left at the scene. So he's saying that, 12/1. Jay stated she did not know anything about the situation and asked M if he wanted to complete the damn order. M stated he was a collector and had enough for now. Okay. He also added he better hold off until things died down a little. M then ended the phone call. Okay. I spoke with Detectives Boone and Barrett on 12/2 and asked them if they mentioned the knife sheath. Both detectives stated they did not mention anything about the sheath and that the conversation with M was very routine. They did not record the conversation. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. We don't know what the hell they talked about. So they could say it's very routine, but we have no idea because it wasn't recorded. So there's no backup to this. They could talk about anything. We don't know. We don't know. They didn't record the conversation. Oh my God. Oh my God. I called Jay back on 12/13 and asked her to tell me about the call with M. Jay reiterated the contents of her statement. However, she stated, M told her a K-bar sheath was left at the scene, and added M told her one of the investigators told her that. And added M told her one of the investigators told him that. Told him that. Or told her that. I don't fucking know. And added M told her one of the investigators told her that. No, that should read told him that. Investigation into M continues. Okay. So if I'm reading this correctly without the goddamn mistakes. Okay, the detectives are saying, no, we never mentioned anything about a knife sheath in our conversation with M. It was very routine. However, they didn't record it, so we have no idea if that's true or not. Bad mistake. But then, okay, now he's saying, no, however, no, one of the detectives did tell him about the sheath. That's how he knew about it. Now, what do you believe here? Do you believe that these investigators actually did tell him they found a knife sheath? It's not recorded, so they could have very well told him about it. So this is totally effed up, guys. This is totally effed up. Payne, December 13th, reviewed by Smith the same day. So again, who's lying? Is it the detectives? Is it M? You know, we heard about M before, I think, in eBay, right? He buys and sells on eBay. Isn't that the same M? Okay, so there you go, guys. Another interesting one. That's number 72. 72 K-bar. Knife sheath. All right. 72. Let's go on. Hey guys, I was going to do 85, but that's... I'm gonna go back to that. We're gonna do I'm gonna go back to 85. I'm just gonna tell you what that's about. All right. So this was an Amazon warrant, 11/26. Okay. For a knife sheath and a K-bar knife. Okay. This was a search warrant for Amazon. That was 11/26. That's what that document's about. Okay. Like the Walmart one. Kind of like that, but this is for Amazon, and this is 11/26. So that date, keep in mind. I'm going to tell you why later. Okay, but 11/26. Now we're getting a search warrant for Amazon for K-bar. All right, that's 85. So scratch. You can look at that, but that's what that one's about. Now we're jumping to 93. Okay, 93. All right, now this is 93. Okay, Blaker. January 4th. Well, we know what happened here, right? So Brian is already arrested. Okay, so this is transportation of DNA profile to Othram Corp in Houston. Okay? So now this is the narrative is before. Okay, the report is after he's arrested. So on 11/21. Keep that 11/21. I traveled from Moscow, Idaho to Meridian, Idaho to drop off evidence at the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab located at blah, 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 Meridian. After getting evidence checked into the lab, I signed for a DNA profile, which had been generated by the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab. This DNA profile was collected from a knife sheath, which was found by the Idaho State Police investigators from District 2 during the initial search of the 112 King Road house on the 13th. The sheath had been transported to the lab by Idaho State Police troopers. The DNA profile was stored in a vial, which was then packaged in an evidence envelope by Idaho State Police lab techs and properly sealed with evidence tape. I signed the package showing I was taking possession of it on 11/21, sometime between 4:30 p.m. and 5 p.m. Mountain Time. Once I took possession of the DNA profile, it stayed in the box provided to me by the ISP lab until 11:22 at around 3:30 a.m. when I removed it from the box and placed it in a small backpack. The backpack then stayed in my possession in a refrigerated unit. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. Did I read that wrong? I didn't realize the backpack was refrigerated. But anyway, I guess that's okay. I don't know. I'm not a DNA expert, guys. The backpack then stayed in my possession. The only time I was not physically holding the backpack was when I went through TSA security at the Boise airport. Okay. I was able to see the backpack as it went through the security system and subsequent check of my carry-on by TSA security. The envelope DNA sample was in never left. The DNA sample never left the backpack at any time during the security check by TSA. I arrived in Houston, Texas around 2 p.m. Central Time. I traveled to Othram, Inc., which is located there, in Woodlands, Texas. I arrived at Othram at around 3:10 p.m. I handed the envelope with the DNA profile to a JF employee for Othram. We completed the chain of evidence paperwork both on the envelope and also on a form provided to me by Othram. I've burned all of these files onto a DVD, which was booked into evidence, okay? January 4th, and then reviewed 6 days later. Okay, yeah. So, I'm not a DNA expert, guys. I don't know if that's standard operating procedure to put a DNA sample in a black backpack that's not refrigerated of any sort. It's not. I don't know. It's going through airport check-in. He's adamant though that it never left his sight. So he's making it known. This is very important. Right? That's what he's doing. This is very important. Okay? But the problem here, guys, is... the problem here is, okay, this was 11/21, right? His report wasn't completed until January something, right? After Brian's arrested. So why would I need to add all this detail in here? If sort of already kind of knew that this was going to be important, right? I don't, just my interpretation here. This is very detailed. You know, it never left my possession. Very serious here. So, but this was 11/21. So how does he already know? Like, remember all those other blood samples, DNA that was found at the crime scene? Now, why aren't we reading documents just like this regarding those samples? Why is it just this specific one on the knife sheath that we're getting so serious about here? And then, right, we have time to change things around because I don't finalize this until January 4th. 5 days after Brian's arrested. Right? And part of that arrest included the DNA on that fucking knife sheath. And then this wasn't reviewed, the document wasn't reviewed until 6 days later by Payne. So guys, here we go. This is the establishment here. This is, now we're seeing the framework of how the lone wolf narrative is shaping up a little bit, okay? This is a very strange document to me. Very strange document. Very strange document. Remember, the knife sheath, that little speck of skin cell, that's the only hard evidence that you could possibly say they have against Bryan Kohberger. But they wouldn't know that here, would they? That's Bryan Kohberger's DNA. So why are we treating this like a bar of gold? And why are we not seeing the exact same documents like this on the other DNA that was found at the crime scene? Blood, right? Blood. On all those other pieces, right? Where are those documents that are so serious here, like this one? Ah, you see, the story is starting to take shape here a little bit now. Yeah. Because we should see documents just like this one about those other DNA samples, right? That are actually derived from blood, right? Not to mention the blood found in Jack Showalter's apartment. Where's all that? So yeah, now we see the beginnings of the lone wolf narrative start to take shape right here, big time. And again, this is document number 93. One more, guys, one more. And then we are on to 101 to 150. All right, one more. All right, one more, guys. 96. I have to show this to you. I found this just interesting. 96. Blaker. January 4th, again, after Bryan is arrested. Okay. Towing of vehicles and removal of the electronic console, right? The ECUs in the cars. The brains of the cars, right? Okay. Evidence. 3, 272, 3, 4. The ECMs for 3 separate cars, right? The Jeep Wrangler, Ford Explorer, and the Chevy Cruze. 3 of the cars. None of the other cars yet. Yet, maybe, I don't know. So, November 29th, 16 days after the event, I was tasked with having 5 vehicles from the King Road house moved to the city shop located on North Van Buren. All right, towing was the only vehicle able to accommodate, towing was the only was the only company able to accommodate the towing of the vehicles. I watched hook up each vehicle and then followed each vehicle from the King Road house to the city shop. On 11/29, I met with DA, FBI, DFE agent out of Salt Lake City. I assisted Agent A with removing the ECUs from the Jeep Wrangler belonging to Ethan. After the ECU was removed from the car, I took possession of it and booked it into property, okay? 11:30, the day after, Officer Morris was with Agent A when he removed the ECUs from a Ford Explorer belonging to Ethan again. So apparently Ethan has 2 cars at the property. 2 cars. Jeep Wrangler, is this right, guys? A Jeep Wrangler and a Ford Explorer. So Ethan has 2 cars and a Chevy Cruze belonging to Miss Maddie. Okay. I didn't know he had 2 cars there, guys. But anyway, Officer Morris took possession of these ECUs and I assisted him with booking them into property. Okay, those ECUs were then shipped to Salt Lake City so the FBI could retrieve data from them. Once they were done, they shipped the ECUs back to the police department. I received a large package around December 22nd before Bryan was arrested. I opened the package on 12/27 before Bryan was arrested and found those 3 ECUs in the box. We were told Agent A would not be able to come back to Moscow for several weeks to reinstall them into the vehicles. I contacted KR, Blant Fleet Supervisor. I asked R if he and his mechanics could reinstall the ECUs, and he told me he could. I provided him with the ECUs, and they had them installed the same day back into the vehicles. Fine. January 4th, after Brian is arrested, reviewed 6 days later once again by Payne. So they already got Brian here. However, again, and we're also doing this on the same day that he's arrested. No, excuse me, we're not. This is still a month before the arrest. Everything is occurring here before the arrest. Up until the 27th, okay? Yeah. Okay. So, however, this report, though, wasn't written till after Brian was arrested. So all this activity occurring here before Brian's arrested wasn't actually written, though, until after Brian was arrested here. Interesting one. I didn't know Ethan had 2 cars. Did not know that. Weird. And Maddie's Chevy Cruze. Okay. There you go. That is document 96. Now, I purposely left out other documents here, guys. I may return to them at some point. But we are on to 101 to 150 now, okay? I'm aware I kept out some documents. All right? 101 to 150 is next. That's coming up next. All right, I love you all. I hope you like that. There was ran through a bunch. All right. We'll talk real soon, babies. I love you. I love you all. Okay, bye-bye.